So welcome tonight for this event. Yeah. So the agenda for tonight, we will have a brief intro. This is what we are living right now. And then we will have the talk of Hugo and Charlotte. Whoa, we got a blank. I will present you what's the next event of the Webmardi. We will have an open mic session. This is quite a special. Maybe you don't already know what is it. This is the moment you will have to speak in front of everybody's here. I know it's scary. You don't have to, but if you want to, this is the opportunity to you to just share something with us. We'll have a Kahoot, so listen carefully, because we'll have a game at the end of this session, and we'll have 4 gifts for you tonight. 3 are the same. And listen, because it's not difficult, but you have to listen still. And we will have an apéro time. I think we are all here, maybe not all, just me, here tonight for the apéro time. Who are in charge of the Webmardi? Me, obviously. But no, I'm not alone on this organization. There's many people that's helping on making the Webmardi what is it. Nelson, who is on the live streamings tonight. Justine, she cannot attend tonight, but she helps for the live stream and the newsletter too. Margot, she's not here tonight also. She's helping on the design and sometimes on the counter for the speakers. She welcomed you also during the event. Alexia was here. She welcomed you, and she helped for the apéro, etc., etc. Asia, she's taking pictures. If you don't want to be on those pictures tonight, just come by to me or anybody from this screen and just tell us that you don't want to be on those photos. We will remove you from the photo. We will blur your face. And we'll try to choose photos where you are not on. So yeah, please feel free to come by to us, or Asia, whatever, which one you want. Or just drop us a mail and tell us, I don't want to be on those photos, please. Alena, she gathered the apéro by herself tonight, so thank you very much, Alena. Huli is working on the communication for the Webmardis, on the tweets you saw maybe on the meetup description you read. Myself and Geoffrey, who creates the Webmardi. Our sponsors, because obviously Webmardis cost a little bit. So we have many sponsors. We have Idora, it's cloud companies like Infomaniac, but most for DevOps people. We also have Infomaniac as our gold sponsors. It's companies that are hosting websites, hostings. We also have many tools like K-Suite, etc., kind of Google-like in Switzerland. And we have 2 agencies as gold sponsors, LIP. We work all around the Switzerland, and SuperRead. And the speakers of tonight come from SuperRead, so you will have the opportunity to learn more about them after my little speech. And 2 bronze sponsors. It's a school from the left, PNV, maybe the next speakers at Webmardi, who knows, and Jobtrek, where we are tonight. And I think someone from Jobtrek is around here, and we'll give a little bit more what is Jobtrek. And we have 3 partners that don't give us money, but give us something else. JetBrains give us license, so we can give you license during the Kahoot sometimes, most of the price during the tech talks. Infomaniacs, that give us freely hosting and access to the K-Suite. And Smashing Magazine that give us visibilities on the Smashing event. Thank you, Jobtrek. Do you want to say something, maybe?
No, I know Charlotte is very excited to speak.
So,
I can speak after.
OK, during the open mic. Perfect. So we will learn more about Jobtrek at the end of this session. But thank you very much for the awesome place we are tonight. Yeah, that's the first time I will read those slides, so please. And in English, we create a collaboration with many illustrators for this year, for the end of this year. And for each event, we will have unique stickers for you. Those stickers will be never else, and nulle part ailleurs, anywhere else. Sorry. And one of those stickers is the one on the right. It has been made by Raymond Michel, who is here tonight with us. So if you want to speak with her after, please. If you want to follow her on Instagram, it will be a pleasure for us. And if you want just to go check out her website for some illustrations she made. So who is Michel? Quickly. Oh, God, it's in French. OK. I will read it in French. motion designer in Switzerland. She will also help us for the video we will create for the Webmardi. We are creating a video for the introduction of the Webmardi, and she's working on it. Thank you very much. She made the Haute École d'Art in Bern, and she does amazing illustration and awesome work for the Webmardi. We are so grateful for the work we received. You will have, I think, 40 stickers only we print. I'm not sure of the numbers, but it is 30 stickers. So yeah, take them, because we had few of them, and you will not find anywhere else. For the number and one, because we have another stickers from Michel that will be given to another event, and it's not a number at one, so you don't have the number of this event on it. And we also have stickers from Amélie Touchet. It's not here tonight, but she also works on stickers. All of our illustrators does 2 stickers, and this is the not number at one. You see we don't have any number from the Webmardi event. She created an eye for us. She's doing amazing illustration for the Olympic, Capitale Lausanne Olympique. You can find everything on her Instagram or on the website of amelietouchet.com. Yeah, if you want to know more from her, if you're looking for illustrators, please work with them, because they do some jobs. They are from Switzerland, and we have to support those people, I think. Well, enough blah blah from me. I think you can take the lead for your talk. So have a great talk. I hope you will enjoy it. I will enjoy it from my side. Give you this microphone.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. Thanks for coming. Thanks to the Webmardi team for the organization and Jobtrek for hosting the event. We are Charlotte and Hugo working at Super 8. We are part of a bigger team of around 20 people, creative designers, developers, project managers, strategists. And what we do is we help ambitious brands and projects to stand out and to grow through strategy, branding, and web solutions. So here's just a gist of a few web creations we have made over the past few months. We worked for more institutional organizations, more sporty brands, so more creative experience websites and content-heavy websites. And today we are here to talk about Headless WordPress with Next.js. We have an executive summary for the most busy of you. Where we come from, it's a statement that web content edition is often painful. When it's painful, it's costly, because it means marketing teams will lose time editing content, make mistakes, have frustration, lose time onboarding people to edit content, like digital content. And so, based on that, we aim to provide the best editing experience we could to our clients a few years ago. But by doing that, web development speed dropped. So it came with quite a price to pay. And so we built our own boilerplate to solve this, and we ended up becoming around 30% more efficient on building websites, developing websites, compared to how we did it before with classic WordPress. And this is what we would like to show you a little bit tonight, knowing that today we are open sourcing the stack that we use, so the boilerplates that we use, in the hope that it's useful to others, in the hope that it can spark interesting conversations as well, and in the hope to be roasted a little bit, because we want to learn from you as well. So yeah, basically, if you're busy and you have other things to do tonight, feel free. That's the talk, basically. Or if you are watching YouTube and thinking there's maybe some other content that you would like to see. But if not, if you are interested to get into the details, here we go. So first, we have to understand where we come from to understand why we chose this stack. When we build websites and when we think about the tools that we use to build websites, we have to think about who we build for. We build for the dude. Developer, user, designer. Developer, we want the tools to be efficient, to be pleasurable to work with. User, we want the website to be fast, to be efficient, to be free of bugs. Designer, we want to be able to have tools that enable designers to be creative and to have a minimum of limits when they think about the website. But there's a fourth letter, E. Can you guess what it is, who it is? Yeah, who's... Gilles, bravo Gilles. On applaudit Gilles. Woo! Unfortunately, it will take more than that to win the gift at the end of the talk. But that's a good start. Yeah, editor. And sometimes it's kind of the fourth or the fifth wheel, even though it's the fourth, that we kind of forget about, but we think that's quite an important part in the process. And to be honest, until 2019, we were not super happy about what we were able to ship with typical CMS solutions in terms of editing, ease of editing, efficiency of editing for our clients. And as I said earlier, poor content edition is expensive. We all know these tools that are either too complex and that give too much power to the editor, which will be afraid to break something and then would end up calling us, or too rigid and then would call us anyways because we need to change something in the code. So when Gutenberg came around, it was about that time that it was integrated in core WordPress. We thought, okay, maybe there's something interesting there to explore. Basically, for those who didn't use Gutenberg, it's an attempt from Automatic, the company and the whole community behind WordPress, to build a standard content edition for the web. So it all works with HTML behind the scenes, and it's kind of what you see is what you get. So whenever you edit your page, you edit what we call block, which is kind of each section, and you kind of feel like you are editing the front of your website itself. You don't have like a form on one side and then have to refresh your page to see what it really looks like. So we built a few websites with this solution. One example is the site of Montreux Jazz Festival. And you can see kind of the experience that we aimed at. The goal was to, so we built custom Gutenberg blocks. And as you can see, you have quite some freedom. So you can add different blocks inside of your blocks. But all of this is controlled by us. So we kind of define what we can do, how we can do it. Like you cannot add anything anywhere and change the background color and things like that. And we heard a few months in from Montreux Jazz Festival, from Garance, who is a digital specialist responsible of the website in Montreux Jazz Festival. We heard something we never expected to hear from any client ever. We actually look forward to editing our website each time we need to. So, okay, we had something for the editor, great. Quite happy, we built a few websites with it, but to be fully honest with you, that was the price to pay, because we will dig a little bit into why that was the case. To go forward, we need to understand that each Gutenberg block is a React component. That's a bit, that's many information in one image, but rest assured, it will be very clear in a few seconds. Each block can be either a static block or a dynamic block. A static block means the block doesn't need any data from external sources. It just needs to render based on whatever you enter in the editor. And so how it saves in the database. It saves the output of the React component, so pure HTML that is saved in the database. But what if my output has to change each time I fetch my page on the website, I render the page on the website, because it's like a list of blog posts or something like that. I don't want to go again in my page to edit it, to refresh it. And so we use dynamic blocks. Dynamic blocks are, as you can see here, saved just as a comment with its properties, with its attributes. And then whenever it renders to show on the front end of your site, on the page, well, you have to go through PHP and fetch the data and then render whatever you want to render. And so we end up with a markup that is for any dynamic block that is coded in React for the Gutenberg version. In PHP for some parts for rendering it on the website. So you have code duplication. You also have to switch the mindset between PHP and React, which is quite different whenever you code. Data fetching is also different, because in the editor, if you want to fetch data, you would use the native fetch in React or whatever library you want, but it would be a HTTP call to the REST API, to the GraphQL API of WordPress. But in front end, you would use built-in functions of WordPress to fetch the content. And last but not least, interactivity. Whenever you want to have events in React, fine, good. On the front end, you would have to have your own code duplicated sometimes in vanilla.js. So you can see and kind of feel the cost of it all. What if we can burn this and actually develop all the way in React and have the same ecosystem, the same functions, the same API calls for rendering our components and for editing our components. There's different ways to do it, of course, not through WordPress only, unless you're ready to have only a single page app that will have performance and potentially security and SEO issues and stuff like that. You want to be able to render React on the server. So in our case, we went with Next.js, communicating with WordPress through GraphQL, and we were able to actually have this kind of symmetry between the front end and the editing part. So the solution we end up with is having one server with WordPress on one side, which you can actually not expose publicly. You could keep it behind a VPN. A node server that hosts the next part of your website, so which will render the pages, and they both communicate through an API. Could be REST API. We chose GraphQL for different reasons we can go into later. And then it means that Next.js will be responsible for exposing the website, rendering the website publicly. And back to developer happiness. But in the process, we also gained performance because we now use Next ecosystem with pre-rendering for pages. So we have pages that load quite instantly without any server upgrading or without caching solutions for WordPress. We also are able to use all of the good things from modern JavaScript ecosystem. So like Framer Motion for animation or React Spring, and libraries of pre-built components that can speed up things or improve quality, like primitives, Radix UI, and stuff like that. And we also improve automatically part of the security because WordPress doesn't have to be exposed, so you can forget about updating every week or so, but also you automatically avoid a lot of the automated attacks on your website. For those of you, and I know there are a few here who tried this stack or who actually use it, you know that it takes some work to get there because you find, and it was back then in 2020, You find a few tutorials, a few examples that are very bare bones, very simple, just a blog rendering from WordPress and stuff like that. But when you want to actually have a good developer experience and actually be efficient, you have to stitch a lot of things together. First.js, which is a great framework developed by WP Engine team. They are kind of leading the way for WordPress headless. It's fantastic, but doesn't have the flexibility we need because it's actually another layer on top of Next.js WordPress. So it's a additional framework and didn't have multi-lang at the time and stuff like that. And so we built our boilerplate that we call Superstack. Of all the things it includes, the few highlights are really focused on being efficient on creating custom blocks for your website. So you have a CLI to create new blocks easily. That you will see all of that in the demo. We included pre-built blocks because every website has this common basic blocks that you always need. And we also co-located code to have 100% of the code related to one block, whether it's editor or front-end, in the same folder in a consistent organization. And what else you will see and be able to go in details also on the on the repo at the end. But it's Next.js 14 ready, which means we can use React Server components, so it's rendering React components without shipping the JavaScript to the browser for any block that doesn't need interactivity, preview, cache revalidation. It's typed in TypeScript, etc. So you will see this. And a few things we need to do very soon is update to make sure it works really well with WordPress 6.5. It is ready for 6.4 until now. And we will also publish the multi-link support, which we used internally, just need to push it to the repo. But enough talk, I leave the mic to Charlotte, who will give you a demo of what it actually looks like to develop with this stack.
Okay, so we will develop together a block from scratch. We will go step by step. So we will start with a static block and go into a dynamic one that fetches data from the database. So this is the block that we want to create. So it's a section that contains a list of gifts that we want to be able to edit and to filter the categories. So on the left, it's what the editor will see on WordPress editor, and the right, it's the front end that the user will see. So let's go. So the first step is to actually create the block, so we can add it within the page. So for this, as Hugo told you previously, we have a CLI called generate block that we can run. It asks you some questions like the title, the slug of your block, and also some options you want to add to your block. So for this demo, we just want to add the data fetching, so it will add automatically a file related to this. So as you can see here, we have this folder called section gifts with all the files related to it. As Hugo said, everything that is related to your block is actually within this same folder. So just to go a little bit deeper into what file does what. So we have the block.json file, which just exports the name and the slug of your block. The data.ts file is the one that we need to fetch data. We will just see this later. The edit.tsx file is the one that exports the React component for the editor, and also an object of settings that is needed by WordPress to know the parameters of your block. The index.tsx file is the one with the React component for the front end, and then there are the styling files. So now that we are our block, as you can see, there are already some code that has already been generated. This is the basic of your block, so you can just focus directly on the functionalities of your block itself. So let's go. We just want to add, for the first step, a title and a description to our block. And just for you to know, for the purpose of this demo, to only focus on the functionalities, all the styling has already been done, so we are not going to see this. So on the front end, we just add our static content. And on the editor, for now, we don't want to be able to edit anything, so we just want to call the front end of our block. So as you can see, we can now add our block. The title and the content is the one that is statically entered on the front end. And if we check the code editor, so this is what is actually saved within the database of WordPress. So for now, we just see that we have a section gifts that we want to add to our page. And so the front end now knows that it has to display the section gifts. Now, what if we want to start making our block editable? So to edit our block, there are two main ways. The first one is from the sidebar here of your block on WordPress editor. So let's do it. We first need to specify to WordPress that we want to save a title to the database. And on the React components, we can use any blocks that come from WordPress library. They have a lot of blocks that we can use. And among these blocks, there is this inspector control block. Everything that you put inside this one is going to be located on the sidebar you saw on the video. So let's add an input where we can control our title. We now need to pass our title to the front end because it's now going to be dynamic. So we can now update the front end to specify that the title is now going to come from the backend, from the editor. So now on the editor, we can now see our input on the sidebar. And if we check what is now going to be saved in the database, we can see that we also have now this title property of the object that is going to be saved to the database. And if we reload the front end, yay, we have now our title. So the second way of being able to edit our block is from the editor itself. So from the WYSIWYG, which means what you see is what you get. So for this, we need to specify that we also have the description that needs to be saved into the database. And as we don't want to display the front end of the block, we want the block that is editable. We just take the structure of our block, replace the static content with the dynamic one. And here, instead of just adding a paragraph, we can use one of WordPress components, which is the rich text, which allows us to edit some text. And now let's specify on the front end that we also have the description now that will come as a prop. So as you can see on the editor, we now have this placeholder, so we can directly add in here the description we want. If we check what is going to be saved into the database, we can see that we have now the description as well. And so for the front end, the description is now showing. Now, what if I want to add an inner block? An inner block is any block that you can add within the parent block. You can just nest blocks to many levels. So let's do this. WordPress also have this component called inner block, where you can just specify a list of blocks you want to allow. So for this demo, we just want to allow the paragraph and the lists. And instead of specifying the inner blocks as an attribute, we need to change the save function. So the inner blocks are going to be saved into the children of our block. You will just see later on the code editor what it's going to look like. And on the front end, this is going to be the children prop. So now in the editor, we have this little button that has been added. This is to select one of the blocks we allowed. So let's add a list. And if we have a look now on what is going to be saved into the database, you can see that we have the opening tag of the section gift, and into it we have the components of the list block, and then the closing tag of the gift. So this is the children of our block. And if we reload the front end, we have our lists. Okay, and now what if I want to actually be able to fetch data that comes from our database? So for the purpose of this demo, we already created a custom post type called gift, where we already added some contents. And this is the data that we want to fetch. When we ran our scripts previously, we selected the option that we wanted to fetch data. So this automatically created the data.ts file. This file has a getData function where there is this GraphQL query. So this is the query that we want to update so we can fetch our data. So let's do it. We want to select the gifts. And as you can see in here, there is an autocomplete because the GraphQL schema has been generated automatically. Each gift has a title, an image, and a category name. So let's get it. Every block that has a getData function is going to, the query of the getData is going to be fetched on server side when we generate our page. So this is called automatically, and the data that we want to get is the one that is going to be passed as a prop of our block. So here it means that we have the gift. Let's just display the gift like that, just to see if it works. And yes, we have our data that has been fetched. So now let's format this data so it looks a little better. We've created a card gift that we can call in here. And we now need to format the data to pass it to our card gift components. And if we reload, yes, we have our data fetched in the front end. But I also want my data to be fetched on the editor because I want the editor to be able to see exactly what's going to be displayed on the front end. So to do so, also with this generator script, some code has already been created, and there is, for example, these lines that has been already added into the edit file. This use GraphQL API is a helper function that we've created, so we can call the get data function within the browser of in the editor, because this is not going to be happening on server side, but on client side, because we want this to happen every time we add a new block. We just need to specify the get data function and any variables we have. You will see this later. So let's display the data object that it exports to see what do we get. And you can see that we have this gifts object that has all the data we want. So let's format it again. We can just copy paste what we did on the front end. And gifts is coming from data. And if we reload, we have the same thing that we have on the front end, the list of the gifts. What if we want to be able to filter the data? So first, what we are going to do is to filter the data statically. So to do so, let's go back to our GraphQL query, where we can just specify a parameter. The autocomplete helps us to get the one we need. And here we just pass an array of ID of categories. And as you can see, it's been already updated on both the editor and the index, the front end, because they both share the same GraphQL query. So any changes you do on the GraphQL query will happen on both sides. OK, but I want the editor to be able to specify which category to filter the data from. So again, thanks to this CLI, we have a query vars attribute here that has already been setted to specify to WordPress that there is this object that we want to save to the database. It's within this object that we can add any parameter we want that we will then pass here to the get data function. So on the sidebar, I want to add an input that allows the editor to select the category. So we created a helper component called terms select control, where we can just specify the taxonomy we want and the property to change. So let's pass this category in variable to our query vars object. So if I check on the editor what is actually happening, now on the sidebar I have this new input where I can select the categories. But as you can see, there's nothing happening on the left. The data isn't filtered. This is because our GraphQL queries still have the static array of categories ID. So let's change it so it takes the one that we've set on the edit. So this is the category in. So in here, on the GraphQL query, we just need to change our static array to the variable we want. This is for GraphQL to know that there is going to be an array of ID passed as a variable. And here, this is where we actually fetch the query. There is this array this object variables that is passed to the query. For the moment, it's just an empty object, but we want it to come from the editor. So the getData function has already the second parameter, which is the attributes that are the one that comes from WordPress. So we just need to specify that here it's going to be the query vars attributes. So now let's reload our editor. Let's add again our categories. And yes, now it's been filtered automatically. And if we check what is actually saved into the database, we can see we only have this array of categories saved to our block, because we always want to fetch on the front end the up-to-date data. So we just need to get the parameters. And yes, it's already automatically added on the front end, because, as I said, they share all the same GraphQL query.
Thanks, Charlotte. Thanks, everyone, for staying with us through this whole demo. We are conscious that a few things might feel like a lot to take in a few minutes. We tried to condense things a lot, but we invite you to go try it and let us know how you felt also after using this stack, if you're interested. We could talk about a lot more topics related or adjacent to that, but we mainly wanted to give you a feel of what we achieved internally in terms of developer experience. Just leaving you with a few things before closing the talk. So globally, not specifically our stack, but we think headless WordPress with Next.js, like not specifically our boilerplate, but this tech stack is, in our opinion, great for websites that need content change, that need to be easy to onboard anyone, because it's WordPress after all, and it's Gutenberg, so very intuitive for anyone. It's great whenever you need advanced editing or authoring needs, because again, it's WordPress behind the scenes, so you can use any plugin or publication flow or anything like that that you want to be to help you author your content. And mostly it's for us very interesting, and it was a step up for building websites that are both flexible for content, which you can, whenever you need a landing page, you could create it, but also creative in terms of like experience, interactivity, animations, because it's React, so you could use any good library for that. Of course, it has limitations. I'm sure you will find more, but just to be very succinct, what we noticed after building quite a few websites over the years with this stack, of course, it's not built for complex web apps whenever you need a lot of business logic, when you need authentication, user accounts, etc. You would not put WordPress behind, but other solutions with ORM and stuff like that. And also, what we noticed, GraphQL response time is not that great. It's generally not a problem, and we have built websites that have thousands of pages without an issue. It can become an issue when you build, and that was our case, a sports competition website where you have more than 20,000 pages that automatically, where content refreshes and synchronizes with external data sources, and when you have more than 100,000 people coming on the website on the same day for a competition, then you can have some edge cases, and then it can become a bit tricky, because you just don't want to overload the server with regenerating all the pages at once. There are solutions, and we found solutions that worked quite well for us, including adding another layer of caching for WordPress GraphQL. And you could as well, of course, have some parts of the websites that are statically exported, for example. There are other solutions. Big shout out to Marion, who is here, Angela, Felipe, who have worked hard with Charlotte and me also on this boilerplate to refine it along the years. To the whole team for believing, because we started developing with this stack when it was quite early. We have a bit of a tendency to do so. We started developing with React when it was alpha. Well, we have a history of this, it's our sickness, but it's also something that how do you say, that resulted in quite good things as well. And of course, thanks to everyone behind WordPress, GraphQL, Next.js. We benefit every day from just awesome technology and awesome code bases that are here for free. And thank you all for listening today. Superstack is on GitHub. Give it stars, give it issues, throw anything at it. We are honestly very interested in your feedback and sharing of your experiences with similar tech stacks or completely others. That's also the goal of this talk, is to open the conversations. And just a few heads up, we are a small team, so we don't have any big ambition for this repo. We don't want it to become the default stack or whatever like that. We just want to share what we are using on a daily basis and open it so everyone can fork it or can make suggestions. Thank you very much.